All right, we are 2 minutes or almost 2 minutes over the hour, so I just wanted to let a couple more people trickle in. But hello, my name is Autumn Bernier, and I am the founder and CEO of Skillcrush. I'm so happy to have you here today for this Ask Me Anything webinar. And we've got lots of great questions coming in, so we have a lot of material to cover. But yeah, I'm excited because, this is a little bit more casual and intimate of a webinar than what we normally do. So I'm really looking forward to getting to know everyone who's joining us for this webinar today, and really making sure to answer all your questions, hear any comments that you have, basically chat with you openly and honestly about what it is and what it looks like to change careers into a technical field, what kind of skills you need to learn, and most importantly, whether or not Skillcrush is the right place for you. So I'm going to talk about a little bit of housekeeping to start, and then we'll just dive right in. And please, anyways, I'll get all into asking questions and how we're going to go about doing that. But excited to get going. So let me begin without further ado. Okay, so you're here for one simple reason, and that's because you're ready to launch a new career in tech and you want to figure out what the next step is that you should take. So the goal of this webinar is really to help you make a decision. We want no more analysis paralysis. So we really want to answer the important question: is Skillcrush the right place for you to continue your studies or not? And I really, today is our classes all start today. So and enrollment is closing. So now is really the time to kind of, get off. If you're sort of straddling that line, trying to make a decision, not totally sure what to do, it's really time to make the decision. And it's really important to us here at Skillcrush. Like, we don't want to convince anyone to take our programs if our programs are not going to be a good fit for you. So the goal of this webinar is not to convince you that Skillcrush is, the one size fits all for everyone, but it's really to answer your questions openly and honestly, talk to you about any concerns that you have, and then help you decide whether or not you want to take the next step and go deeper in with us. And of course, if you decide not to, that is 100% fine too. You're still going to be a part of the Skillcrush community, and we're still going to be here, doing webinars and providing you with lots of content and tips and all those things. We're not going anywhere. So yeah, that's really the goal of this webinar. Okay. So over the course of this webinar, I really want to hear from you. That is the whole purpose of this webinar. It's dedicated entirely to your questions. So you will see that there is a Facebook comment section right below this video, and that is where I would like you to post any comments or questions that you have. Over the course of this webinar, I'm going to be answering the questions live. It is, of course, possible that I won't be able to address every single question that comes in. If that is the case, we will make sure to address your questions after the fact, or one of my team members will ask it as we're going through the process. So don't worry, we will guarantee that every single question will get answered. To begin, I would really love you to introduce yourself. Like I said, this is a smaller webinar than normal. Normally we have hundreds and hundreds of viewers. Here today we have a couple dozen of you, and I would really love for us to take the opportunity to get to know each other, because this is absolutely one of the best parts about the Skillcrush community, is that we have such interesting and amazing people from all walks of life, from all over the world, with all kinds of experiences, but a shared interest in making a career change, looking for work that's, a better fit for their life, and interested in how technology can help them get there. So I would love to hear, where are you joining us from today? Why are you thinking about a career in tech? What makes you want to do that now? And of course, anything that you want to know about the Skillcrush blueprints, you can go ahead and ask me anything. So over the course of this webinar, I would love to chat about a lot of topics. I would love to talk about how much of a time commitment you'll actually make. We can talk about how soon you can start to make money if you are learning new tech skills. We'll talk about why it's smart to invest in WordPress as a platform and to educate yourself about how it works. We're going to talk about what blueprints offer beyond the classroom. So what additional things will you get in addition to sort of the skill-based learning that you'll learn with Skillcrush? How to compare blueprint options and any other topic that you would like to talk about. So this is really your time, so please make the most of it. I see that a couple of people are already starting to make comments and introduce themselves, which is awesome. Felicia, so nice to have you here with us. And Felicia says, yes, I do need to finally make a decision. Yeah, awesome. So we'll help you with that. And Dave is coming to us from Boise, Idaho. And he actually has quite a bit of experience, so that's awesome. So Dave, we'd love to hear about your experience, and also it sounds like maybe you have some gaps that you need to fill, which I totally understand because that was definitely my experience as somebody who is self-taught. Very cool. So before we dive into the questions, I do want to just go ahead and quickly talk to you guys through our programs. And the reason why I want to do this now is because I find that a lot of questions have to do with just understanding the differences between the programs, and we can go a lot deeper into that towards the end of the webinar. But for any of you who maybe can't make it the whole time, I just want to make sure to get this out of the way, since this is probably, you know, top 5 questions that we get are some version of how do I understand the differences between your offerings. So we have 3 core products and that we sell. And basically, they are 3 different kind of variations on our classes in career counseling and mentorship and stuff like that. So the first product that we sell are the Skillcrush blueprints. And the way that the blueprints work is that they are each blueprint, and these are the visual designer blueprint, the web designer blueprint, the front-end developer blueprint, if you guys have seen those. And what they are is a collection of between 3 and 4 classes each. Each class is a month long. So if there's a 4th class, it's usually like a shorter class that's kind of squeezed in between 2 of the month-long classes. And they all have a specific skill focus. So for example, visual designer blueprint is focused on visual design, front-end developer blueprint, front-end development, et cetera, et cetera. So that is our blueprint product. Then we have something called the WordPress Blueprint Package, which is a very popular product that a lot of students choose to enroll in. And what the WordPress Blueprint Package is a special discounted package of 3 of our most popular blueprints. So in the WordPress Blueprint Package, what you get is you get the visual designer blueprint, you get the front-end developer blueprint, and the WordPress developer blueprint, and you get it at a discount of about $200, I believe. And the reason why we have structured it this way is because this is a very popular track for our students to take. So we see a lot of students doing these 3 blueprints. And the reason why they do that is because, first and foremost, you need to know HTML and CSS before you take the WordPress Developer Blueprint, and that's what you learn in the Front-End Developer Blueprint. So the Front-End Developer Blueprint serves as a prerequisite to the WordPress Developer Blueprint. And then a lot of students will add on the Visual Designer, because it turns out if you're going to offer freelance WordPress development sites or WordPress development services to your clients, it's very, very useful to also understand at least the fundamentals of design, meaning that you can create a logo for someone, you can create, you know, a brand guide, color theory, that kind of thing. So that is what the WordPress Blueprint Package is all about. The third product that we offer, and this is our newest product, it's called the All Access Blueprint. And the All Access Career Blueprint is a little bit different than our regular blueprints in that it's a very comprehensive, customizable, and accelerated program. So the whole idea of the All Access Blueprint is that it's not sort of isolated to a specific skill, but it's really designed to give you a holistic, comprehensive education and everything that you need to know from start to finish in terms of, you know, starting from relatively little development or design experience all the way to being ready to either go full-time freelance or to actually apply and get full-time jobs. So this is really our all things. You get access to every single Skillcrush course. It's customized. You are paired up with a career counselor that you meet with monthly. You do get some career counseling in our blueprints, but It's much more intensive in the All Access Blueprint, and you get an enormous amount of job search support. And basically the idea of the All Access Blueprint is that it's really our most comprehensive program for those who are really looking to commit to a program and make a substantive career change. So we can talk about these a little bit more later and talk about, how do you determine which one's right for you. But I just wanted to sort of explain that really quickly before we dive into all the questions. And hopefully that helps to explain a little bit the difference between our programs. I just wanted to see if anyone else. Oh, and Andrew says he's here from Redding, California. So I guess I'm like, it's 2, so that makes it 11. So I guess it's not that early in California. But Robert is here joining us too, so that's awesome. Okay, cool. So keep on asking your questions as we go through. I will check in intermittently to make sure that if there's any sort of follow-up questions to the questions that I'm going to be addressing, we can do that. Cool. So without further ado, I want to address the first question. And this question comes from Anissa. It's a beautiful name. So Anissa asks, how many hours do I really have to put aside to complete a blueprint? This is a very good question. So the way that our blueprints are designed is that they're really meant to work for students who are either working full-time or part-time or have family obligations, which is to say that we are not a boot camp in the style of sort of, maybe some of you guys have heard about these 3-month intensive boot camps where you pay, $10,000 to $20,000 and you go full-time. Now, that's not to say that you can't study our programs full-time. If you do that, you go through them very quickly and see a lot of change very quickly. But in our, for the most part, and this really applies especially to the blueprints versus the All Access Blueprint, which tends to be a little bit more customizable, but we expect our students to study about an hour a day, which means that all told, we're talking about maybe around 8 hours a week. It does tend to get a little bit more intensive as you get to more advanced topics, or when you're starting to work on bigger projects. So often what students find is that they maybe will spend like less than an hour or about an hour a day, plus they'll do some extra longer sessions to finish their projects. But it really, like I said, it really is designed with the consideration that you work full time. We don't, that's kind of one of the things that we are trying to offer here at Skillcrush is the ability to, make a serious career change and learn some really important skills without having to quit your day job in order to do so. But like I said, the All Access Blueprint, of course, is more customizable. So should you want to go through that at a faster pace, like let's say you have 20 hours a week to work through the material, that blueprint does allow you to do that. Okay, so we have another question from Erin, and Erin asks, how soon can I become completely marketable, start taking on clients, or transfer to a new job? I love this phrase, completely marketable. Like, let's all become completely marketable. It sounds actually like a really good goal. So, okay, so the things depend a little bit. So, our goal here at Skillcrush and our commitment to you is that we're here to get you job ready. So in terms, if you are taking a blueprint, we're looking to get you to the point where you're able to use those skills, the specific skills that you're learning in that blueprint at a professional level within 3 months. So certainly within 3 months, you are able to get work as a freelancer. Now, granted, getting work as a freelancer is sort of, a process unto itself. And that's why we do provide a lot of support around that and a lot of resources on how to do that, because sometimes that can be a learning curve just to figure out how to do it. Not that you aren't skilled enough, but just, the process of how do you find clients and how do you pitch them and all that stuff. And then in terms of jobs, that is going to depend a little bit more on, the job, your past experience, and that kind of thing. In the All Access Blueprint, our commitment to you is that you will be ready and actually, that you'll really be ready to apply for jobs within about 6 months. And our goal is to get you in a job by 9 months. So that gives you a little bit of a benchmark of the time frame that you're looking for. Some other important things for you to know is that, how do we get you to this point? Well, we're going to have you do a lot of practical projects in your coursework, because what we find is that the best way to get work is to have portfolio pieces to show that it really demonstrate that not only can you do the work, you can do it really well. We have a lot of job resources, a lot of stuff, especially both around freelancing and going full-time that you'll have access to. And then depending on your Blueprint option, you'll also have a monthly one-on-one support from a dedicated career counselor, and that's what you get with the All Access Blueprint. So that's really to help you figure out, what are the gaps in your knowledge? What information do you need? What's going to make you really attractive? Where can you look for work? What kind of work? Obviously none of these questions have easy answers, or it does depend on every person and their situation and what they're looking for. But, our commitment to you is that you can definitely start making money within 3 months. And we'll be ready to apply for jobs within 6. So I hope that answers that question. Let me just double check. Okay, so Frank is asking, for the All Access program, you stated in the emails that one should be able to start freelancing within 3 months. If one has more time and is capable of learning faster than typical, is there anything to prevent starting to work sooner? Absolutely not. Meaning, yes, you can totally do it sooner. We just find that 3 months tends to be a very realistic time frame, given usually the amount of time that our students are able to commit to skill building, which is usually, like I said, about a couple hours or an hour or so a day. So if you were able to work through the material at a faster pace, you could absolutely, start freelancing sooner, no question. So that's awesome. Oh, Simone, hello, joining us from Trinidad. You are very lucky. I'm sure it's really beautiful where you are. So that's awesome. I'm totally jealous. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go to the next question, if that's okay. Are WordPress skills still in demand? How much longevity is there in this career path? I love this question because it's really funny. WordPress is like this thing that it's not sexy in the tech world, I would say. You're not going to hear a lot of fancy tech companies talking about WordPress. But I think that's a really big oversight on their part. And I also think that means it's all the better news for you, because you are going to know that WordPress is awesome. So it is estimated that 1 in 4 websites in the world are built on WordPress. I'm like, can we just all take a moment? 1 in 4 websites in the world is built on WordPress. That is insane. Insane. I can't even begin. So one thing that it's important to know is that when we're talking about websites in the world built on WordPress, we're not talking about WordPress.com. Obviously, WordPress.com does account for a substantial number of websites, but if WordPress.com hosted all of those websites, it would literally be the single biggest tech platform in the world. So that's not how it works. Instead, what it is that those are companies and bloggers and individuals all over the world who have downloaded the WordPress open source software, customized it, and launched it for their own websites. Where I really see this to be the case is in small businesses, in sort of individual solopreneurs, obviously nonprofits, media organizations on that side of things. So in the past, there were more players in that space. There was a open source content management system called Joomla. There is still another one called Drupal. Those were also very common PHP-based open source content management systems that were used for small businesses and media companies and stuff like that. However, in the last 5 years, WordPress has completely dominated that market and has exploded in growth. So that's, sorry, to answer the question, it is exploding. It's only getting bigger and bigger. And the fact that it's not sort of sexy among the tech elite actually means that there's just that the people who are using WordPress sites are really, really underserviced. So what makes WordPress so awesome, and the reason why we teach it and why I encourage you to learn it, is that It's an open source software, and it's just so useful. And what's really cool about WordPress is that out of the box, it is an awesome functioning platform, and then it's incredibly customizable. And it works great. It is like the best solution for so many small businesses and nonprofits and media organizations and stuff like that, because it's really user-friendly. So you can do all the fancy back-end coding and front-end development work, and then your client will be able to make updates through the CMS. So basically, yeah. As of this morning, there were over 7,000 WordPress jobs on Indeed.com. So there is a huge demand for this, and that's full-time work. So that doesn't even scratch the surface on the opportunity in terms of freelance projects you can do. I mean, I really, truly believe that working in WordPress is the fastest way to start making money, and you can make a completely decent living. If not a more, you could build businesses on top of WordPress and providing WordPress services. I'm on this, list of women who are entrepreneurs and media people in New York, and they're constantly emailing each other about people who can help them to customize their WordPress sites. So that is my 2 cents about WordPress. Of course, do I mean to say that this should be your end all be all? Not necessarily, right? Like, you may do this for a while. I mean, that is kind of my experience. I did this for a while, and then that got me working on some Ruby on Rails projects and stuff like that. So obviously there's a lot of different types of technologies available and out there. And, depending on what you want to move into, you may want to explore those too. But the great news is that, the things that you learn while building WordPress sites are going to be super useful for any technology stack that you move to after that. So big fan, 2 thumbs up for WordPress. I want to see if we get any do we have any WordPress lovers in the audience? Let me see. Okay. Oh, also, I will add that WordPress is great for if you want to work remotely. Okay, anyways, enough about WordPress. So this is a great question. What makes Skillcrush better than free coding schools out there? So there's a couple of different things. So my inspiration for starting Skillcrush really came from my own experience of trying to learn effectively for free. However, I will say that for me, it wasn't about wanting to learn for free. It was like there really weren't any other options at the time. And I did a lot of, and again, of course, this is before the existence of things like Codecademy. But I did a lot of Googling and reading and buying books, and I guess that wasn't even free. But the challenge with learning for free online, in my experience and what I have heard from other people, is that there's two fundamental problems. One is that you end up having to create your own curriculum, because there are very few free resources, or I really haven't seen any free resources that really do the whole soup to nuts experience, like curriculum of learning, right? Like, you'll go and there'll be an HTML tutorial and a CSS tutorial and a JavaScript tutorial, but they don't tend to be very cohesive. And they don't tend to be sort of longer term and really in-depth and really structured to take you from step 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7, etc. So that is the number one problem that we are trying to solve at Skillcrush in terms of what we're offering or able to offer to our students on top of what's available for free. The other big thing, and I actually have a slide for this, is support. So I think that what makes Skillcrush so special is our curriculum. Of course, we're very proud of our curriculum, but what really makes it, pushes it over the edge, in my opinion, is our instructors and our mentors. Because the truth of the matter is that every person is different. Your journey is different than my journey. And it's different than, Felicia's journey is different than Christina's and Frank's and Hillary's and Simone's. Like, we all come to learning to code with a different background. We have different, preconceived notions. We have different goals, right? For some of us, it may be about remote work, whatever it is. And the problem with a free online resource is that, by and large, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong, they're all sort of a one-size-fits-all. Here is an HTML tutorial for you, and it's the same one that for everyone. And granted, our material is the same, but where we are really able to offer something different is that our instructors are here and they can really help you to customize the program. So in our all access blueprint, we literally customize the program for you, right? We literally give you the opportunity to select what classes you want to take, what order you want to take them, the path you want to take, what your time frame is, what your goals are, et cetera, and really design a program that's going to meet your specific needs. But even with our regular blueprints, you know, you have access to instructors via email all the time, and then you do office hours with them weekly. And that's really your opportunity to come to them and say, hey, you're a professional working in this industry. Help me. What advice can you give me about applying to work at a design agency? What advice can you give me about working remotely? You know, what would you say to somebody who has a print design background but wants to get into web design? What advice would you give to a stay-at-home mom who's looking to dip her toe into working again, et cetera, et cetera. So that's really, I think, what we can offer at Skillcrush that you're not going to find in the free online courses. Look, that said, maybe for you, like, you have other people in your life who can provide you with those resources and that mentorship and that guidance, then, you know, paying for a program might not be the right fit for you. So I think that's, you know, if that's attractive to you, then I definitely think that Skillcrush would be a great fit. And if that's something that you're kind of feeling like, oh, take it or leave it, then maybe Skillcrush isn't the best place for you, and that's okay. Totally okay. I see that we have Andrew here. Oh, I think I actually already said hi to Andrew. Hello again, Andrew. So nice to see you. I wanted to make sure if anyone had any follow-up questions to the answer that I just gave. Oh, Robert has a question which I want to answer right now, which is, are blueprint classes delivered live? And this actually speaks to the point I was just making. So the answer is, by and large, no. However, there are portions of our program that are live. So all of your lessons are not live. So they're pre-recorded, and they're a mix of videos and a little bit of reading, and then a lot of sort of challenges for you to do to really practice what you're learning and implement it and put it into practice, because that's really how you cement the skill for yourself. That said, we do some things that are live. And video office hours are live, and that's really your opportunity to meet with your instructor face-to-face and talk to them about your work. This is where you can show them your work, get feedback on it, ask them questions about the material, or ask them questions about the work that they do, how they broke into tech, you know, any questions you have about what you're doing. The other thing that we do live are master classes, and this is where we invite other experts to come in and talk about a topic that we don't necessarily cover in our material, but that we think is going to be interesting and valuable to you. That said, those are all recorded and available for you to watch and rewatch. And we actually have access to our whole library of material of prior master classes, which are some of our best. I love our master classes. So that gives you a little sense of what we offer and whether it's live or not. Cool. I felt weird talking over this slide when it wasn't really relevant, but now I'm done with that question. So I'm going to go back to my slides. Cool. So the next question comes from Maxuda. These names are so beautiful. And her question is, what's the difference between the WordPress Blueprint package and the All Access Career Blueprint? That's a great question. So the WordPress Blueprint package, like I mentioned before, is a special discounted package of 3 of our most popular blueprints. So that's the Visual Designer Blueprint, the Front-End Developer Blueprint, and the WordPress Developer Blueprint. So similar to our blueprints, when you do the blueprint package, you basically just sign up to take these 3 blueprints in succession. And you start actually with the front-end developer blueprint, then you take the WordPress blueprint, and then you take the visual designer blueprint. And something to note is that these are all on a schedule. So they start on a certain date and they end at a certain date. That said, it is flexible in that you can transfer, and you do have lifetime access to all the materials. So you you don't need to worry about what happens if you don't don't sort of keep up with it. And the WordPress blueprint package is for you if you know you want to learn WordPress, if that's really clear to you. And you also know that you don't have the prerequisite skills to just take the WordPress developer blueprint, meaning you haven't got enough experience with HTML and CSS. And it's also a great option for you if you're interested in freelancing and want to be able to provide your clients with a soup to nuts offering from design to front-end development to WordPress. So for any of you who are considering, who maybe are interested in working remotely, working from home, starting a freelance business, and this can be a really, really awesome option for you. The only problem, or I mean, there really isn't a problem with the WordPress blueprint package, but the thing that you're not going to get in the WordPress blueprint package that you will get in the all access blueprint is it's not going to be customized to you. You won't get the monthly career coaching or counseling and job search support. And like I said, it is on a schedule. So the all access blueprint, on the other hand, is designed to be a 9-month program. And what you get is unlimited access to the entire library of Skillcrush courses. And what really makes this different is like you go at your own pace. We customize it with, you and a career counselor customize your learning path to your goals. You get regular career counseling. We do a lot of support in terms of helping you to actually identify jobs to search for, prepare yourself in terms of interviewing, resume, portfolio, all of that, and then apply for the job. And basically our goal with the All Access Blueprint is to give you everything you need to learn and launch a new career, whatever that may look like for you. So that's really the big difference between those products. And something that we do want to let you guys know about is that today only, we're going to be offering free lifetime access to every class in the blueprint, meaning that if you buy a one-time purchase of the All Access Blueprint for $14.99, you're going to get lifetime access to every class in the blueprint. So normally we give you 12 months of access, but if you buy today, we will be giving you lifetime access to everything that's in the All Access Blueprint. So this is an extremely good deal. I would encourage you, if you're thinking about doing the All Access Blueprint, to take advantage of this offer. Okay, so I want to answer some more questions. Frank has a question, another question, which is, what is the middle of the road income like for freelancing and the type of work that Skillcrush graduates do? So Frank, I think what you're asking is sort of what can you expect for your salary if you're going to do this type of freelancing. So I know, so basically the type of freelancing that we normally encourage our Skillcrush students to do is WordPress development freelancing. And I think that a good sort of very, what's the word? Very prudent? No, that's not the word I'm looking for. A very reasonable expectation in terms of salaries for that kind of freelancing work within probably a year or so of you starting to do it would be in the $60,000 to $70,000 range. And I think you can go up significantly from there, depending on sort of your, how much, and this is of course assuming that you're going to work full time. I will say that, with the thing you have to think about with a freelancing business is that unlike a full-time job where you walk in on day one and make the maximum amount of money, right? Like if I get a job for $65,000, $70,000, I walk in on day one and I'm making that. With freelancing businesses, you do sort of have to ramp up to making that. So that can maybe take a little while. Maybe that'll take you 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 months to get to that salary level. And in those instances, this is really where we do encourage our students to kind of, ease out of their current work and ease into that. But I think that would be a very reasonable number. That said, a lot of our students are not working full time when they're freelancing. So a lot of them are looking at, making hourly rates of $50 an hour or thereabouts with their freelancing work in WordPress. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a better sense. I think those are very, very reasonable. And honestly, we've had students make significantly more. So $75, $100 an hour, that kind of thing. But, I think it would be entirely reasonable for you to be making $50 an hour. So Melinda has a question, which is, I'm already working as a web developer, but I would like to work remotely for a company. I'm not sure if freelancing is right for me, though. Can you get hired for a remote position with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and WordPress skills? And do you have a tip on getting hired? That's a great question. And the answer is, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have hired people with those exact skills. And I've also helped people get hired with those exact skills. I think I have gotten hired with those exact skills. I think like something that is challenging, or I mean, it's both good and bad, is that there's nothing necessarily specific in terms of like working remotely is different than working in person. And you do have to learn some things about, what makes it different. And actually, I think we have a really good blog post on the Skillcrush blog. Let me just pull it up for you guys today. That's actually about that, where we interviewed a bunch of remote workers. Yeah, what you really need to know about remote work. And so they're talking about, what it really takes to be successful as a remote worker. But that said, that doesn't mean that remote jobs are necessarily, sort of hiring for a different skill set than a normal job. So I think any kind of job that you would want in person, you can find remotely. I think the thing that can be hard is that there tend to be less remote jobs, and they tend to be a little bit harder to find, and you don't sort of have the benefit of being able to necessarily, I mean, maybe you do depending on who you know, but maybe it's a little bit less likely that you'll sort of know somebody who knows somebody. However, there are wonderful websites. Actually, if you go check out this blog post, and we can actually share it on the live site, or in the comments, I will post it. Here is the blog post I was talking about. If you go check that out, you'll see that we have a guide that's all about remote work, where, and we actually have another blog post that's all about 25 places to look for remote work. So we have a lot of suggestions in terms of where to look for remote work. But yeah, anyways, in short, I would say that getting a remote job is no different than getting a normal job. I think it can just, maybe, I would give yourself a little bit more time and that kind of thing, because I think remote jobs can just be slightly harder to come by. Cool. Is anybody else interested in remote work? I'm curious. This is something we hear a lot from students. Andrew actually asks, what is the lifestyle like working remotely for a company versus freelance? How many hours a week can you be globe skipping while maintaining a legit professional online job while surfing in Central America in the mornings? I love that question. Okay, so, the good news about freelancing is that it's much, much more likely to be remote. In fact, I would argue that probably most freelancers work some manner of remote. So maybe they go in to check, to meet with our clients every now and again, but otherwise they're largely working from home. In terms of globe skipping while working for a company, I think that's definitely easier if you're freelancing, because like I said, freelancers don't normally have set hours. They don't have a set location. And honestly, the truth of the matter is, from a legal standpoint, if you are being asked to work specific hours and asked to show up, you're probably not legally classified as a freelancer. You may be working as a freelancer, but the US government would probably disagree with that. And most Western European countries are even more strict about those rules. So in terms of globe skipping, I do think that working as a freelancer is probably the easiest way to do that. And actually, we have a couple of members on our team who really push that to the max. And that's funny for me to say, because we have one named Max who, is always, he's German, but he lives most of the time in Southeast Asia. So his hours are totally crazy. The challenge of traveling while working is, of course, being offset on time zones. So for you, if you wanted to live in Central America and surf in the morning, it would maybe work really well for you to work for a company, I don't know, Central American time zones. That could be like, you know, maybe California or something like that. Obviously, time zones could be an issue. And you also have to make sure, of course, that you always have access to the internet. But barring that, you really can do what you want. And as long as you're willing to work, you know, somewhat different work hours than the normal person and have access to internet, then you can absolutely push it to the limit. And, you know, I will say, like, our workers work from all over the place. I mean, the bulk of our people are in sort of North American time zones most of the time, but they definitely take advantage of the flexibility of working remotely and go travel for months at a time and continue to do their work, which is great. So Frank is asking, do you get the lifetime access for the All Access program if you purchase at $200 a month? And the answer is unfortunately no. And that's just because, you know, if you do a monthly subscription, you're paying month by month. So we're not able to offer lifetime access. Okay, so Denise asks, the All Access Pass says it's go your own pace, but also that it takes 9 months to get through. Can you clarify a little more of that? If we already have some skills, but could use some refresher and brush up and have the time to devote to it, is it possible to finish faster than 9 months? And Denise, yes, absolutely. The 9 months, again, is just assuming that you are dedicating an hour or so a day. Then our commitment to you is that we will get you there by 9 months. But if you're able to move through the material faster, you can absolutely accelerate that process and get through it faster. We just like to give people some sort of time frame so that they don't kind of feel like it's going to go on forever and ever and ever, because it definitely isn't. Sarah is saying, hi, Ada. Thanks so much for hosting this webinar. You're most welcome. Thank you so much for coming. I graduated from top university back in 2008, an eternity ago. And as a new mom, I'm trying to figure out a way to supplement my degree with new skills that will complement my work experience in content development and market research. So not web development per se, but ideally a way to showcase an understanding mastery of online content. Is the WordPress blueprint for me? Sarah, yeah, so I just do want to give you the caveat that the WordPress blueprint is very technical. It's not to say that it's not for you. I think that, but you know what? I actually think that maybe I would encourage you to look more at like the web designer blueprint. I think the web designer blueprint might be a better fit for you in that you get some design experience and exposure, which is also really important for content development and market research and really understanding user experience design and stuff like that. You'll also learn some HTML and CSS, which is kind of the gateway drug to online coding. And then it does a lot of freelance work. So we have a whole class in that blueprint about freelancing and getting into that. So I think that might be a slightly better fit for you. And then depending on your experience in that, you could determine whether the WordPress blueprint is right for you. And then if you decide it is, you will have the prerequisite skills, which is HTML and CSS, in order to take advantage of that. Cool. Okay. I don't know how to say this name. Aisha is asking, what's the best area for those like me to get into? Wanting to live and work as a digital nomad. I'm creative, practical, somewhat computer savvy compared to, say, my mom, but not going to win the Miss Tech Universe competition. Hey, never say never. Brand new to tech. Also been looking at it becoming a virtual assistant. I'm confused about where to aim for in the short term to start living my goal and where to eventually aim for in the long term. That's awesome. Okay, so I would say, you know, obviously working as a virtual assistant is probably something that is relatively low barrier to entry, but I also think that the long-term sort of income potential of that is not great. So I think that, you know, exploring whether tech could be the right fit for you is a great idea. Maybe something for you to consider is taking a look at our All Access Blueprint, and you could do the monthly purchase just to keep the cost low to begin and see whether you like it and want to commit. You do have the opportunity to upsell into the one-time payment should you want to after your first month. I think that for you, it would be awesome for you to explore web design and web development, see if those things interest you. If they do, you kind of, will get a feel for which one you like better. I think you can start freelancing, like I said, within 3 months, if not sooner, start making, a return on that investment. Like our goal for our students is always to make their money back while they're still in our programs. And then for long term, I mean, really the sky's the limit, right? Like it's all about sort of you learning more about yourself and what you like, and what you're interested in. But I mean, I think there's so much opportunity in terms of jobs at tech companies or jobs at media companies. I mean, literally really any company is hiring tech workers at this point. There's like McKinsey, which is like the very, very Tony consulting company. I have a friend who works there, and she's always posting links on Facebook to digital tech jobs that they're now hiring for because they need so much support in that regard. So yeah, and all these questions, I mean, I'm not trying to evade your question or not be specific, but I just think there's so much out there that it's impossible for me to sort of like distill it down into one concrete answer. But I think that we can help you figure out how to get a return on your investment very quickly, and then really figure out, how to sort of, take it from there. So I definitely encourage you, if you're interested, to dive in and start learning some skills. Okay, so Christina has a multi-part question. So her first question is, I'd like to stop working on startup teams and have control over my schedule and pay rate. Which program would you recommend for more autonomy and being able to charge relatively high rates quickly? So I see your second question is, I'm very interested in the WordPress Blueprint package, but also love to learn a bit about UX, UI, JavaScript, and how to animate things like infographics, as well as designing and coding and fully responsive emails. Would that all access option be best for this? Yes. Okay, great. So I think if you're interested in all of those topics, then I absolutely encourage you to take the all access blueprint, because what we can do there is really hone in on exactly what skills you want to learn, in what order you want to learn them, and how quickly you can start to apply those skills, and really build you a program that's going to make sense for you and is not going to have any kind of, skills that are not going to be relevant to you at this moment, and just really focus your energies and time on that. Because it sounds like you have a very good hold of what's out there and what you want to learn. And I think in that situation, you're going to really enjoy the All Access Blueprint, because we can pair you with a career counselor and have you really design the program that's going to get you to where you want to go as quickly as possible. Cool. So that is for Christina. Sarah says, awesome. Great. I'm so glad. And we love new moms, for the record. We have a lot of new moms or soon-to-be moms who come to Skillcrush. So we love new dads too. I don't want to leave them out of this at all. So please, yes. Okay, so cool. I think, is that all of our questions? If you guys have any more questions, please ask them now. Oh, I see that Dave just bought the Visual Designer Blueprint. So Dave, welcome. That's awesome. Tanya bought the Front-End Developer Blueprint, and Jan bought the Front-End Developer Blueprint. So that's awesome. So exciting. Very cool. We're excited to have you guys. Great. So if that is all the questions that we have today, we can wrap up a little early. But like I said, if you guys have any questions, oh, Andrew has a question, which is, does your program open up the possibility of developing apps on iPhone or Android, software development versus web development? Yes. So we don't currently teach iPhone app development or Android app development. However, we do teach mobile design. So we'll definitely get you started. And we do teach responsive design, or development, meaning that we'll teach how to make sure that websites work on all manner of devices. And as you probably know, if you have been studying this, a lot of app development is moving to the browser. So a lot of what you are going to learn will be applicable. And nonetheless, the fundamentals of programming apply regardless of what platform you use. So you will have a very solid foundation upon which to build a new set of skills if that is what you are interested in. Cool. Okay, so once again, I just want to remind you all that the All Access Career Blueprint, if you purchase it today and do the one-time payment, you will get free lifetime access to every class in the blueprint, and that is a special offer that expires tonight at midnight when enrollment closes. Otherwise, I hope that this webinar has been helpful in terms of helping you to make a decision. Like I said, obviously Skillcrush is not right for everyone, but if you have liked what you heard today, I would really hope that you join us in a blueprint. We'd love to help you figure out what your goals are and find the fastest way to get you there. So whether that is a flexible and remote lifestyle, making more money, just enjoying your job more, whatever that looks like, maybe it's a combination of all of them. We'd really love to work with you to get there because there's so much opportunity in tech. There's such a big need for tech workers. And yeah, that is all. Okay, so please email us at hello@skillcrush.com if you have any questions whatsoever about anything that we've talked about or any other questions that come to mind. And otherwise, I would just like to wish you a happy rest of your Monday. And I'm just going to say hello on camera really quickly, but it's been a pleasure to meet you all. It's always so fun. And oh, and I'm just getting a reminder from Hillary, one of our marketing ladies here, that something I do want to let you guys know is that we are actually going to be raising our prices for the first time ever next month, meaning that if you want to buy our other blueprint, so the price increase does not apply to the All Access blueprint, but it does apply to our regular blueprint. So if you want to buy an individual blueprint, so the price is going to be going up by $100 starting next month. So if you have been thinking about buying a blueprint, I definitely encourage you to consider buying it this month because you will get it at a discount. And the reason for this price increase is really, you know, obviously our goal at Skillcrush is always to keep the prices super affordable. And I think if you compare us to comparable programs, you will agree that the prices are really reasonable. But, you know, we are just looking to invest as much as possible and provide everyone with as much career support and mentorship and instructors and guidance, and continue to invest in our programs and make the best programs that we can possibly create and build out our, you know, job support, search support, and all of those things. And as you can imagine, all those things cost money. So yes, so just please be aware of that. But anyways, on that note, I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. I hope that this helped answer your questions, and I look forward to seeing you in class. All right, take care. Bye-bye.